All right, welcome to our Swadley Academy segment on improper fractions and mixed numbers. Last week I heard a student say while we were working at the table that the number on top is always the smaller number. The numerator is always the smaller number, and it has to be smaller, and that's how you know that it's the number on top, because it's the smaller number. So I want you to pause the video and think about it for a moment. Does the number on top have to be the smaller number? Why or why not? Knowing that the top number is the number of pieces we're talking about, and the denominator is the number of pieces in one whole. So pause the video, think about, is it true the numerator has to be larger? Okay, and welcome back. So I'm curious to know what you think. And when you come to table, we're going to talk about this more, okay, and what you originally thought. But my guess is that most of you had the same idea, that the numerator has to be the bigger number, okay? But what if I have something like this? What if you saw something that looked like that, 4/3? What would that look like? In your journal, I would like you to try and sketch what 4/3 might look like. Is it possible to sketch 4/3? So take a moment, pause the video, try and think about that. Sketch it, talk with the other people in your group. Is this something that can be done? Can I draw 4/3? Okay, so I'm going to tell you it is possible to draw 4/3. Thinking about thirds is the amount of pieces in one whole. And that's the key, that thirds is the amount of pieces in one whole. So yes, it is possible to draw 4/3 because there are 3 pieces in one whole. That's 3/3. But if I have 4 pieces shaded, that's more than 1. Think about if you ever buy pizza and you buy more than 1 pizza. Each pizza, let's say, has 8 slices. Okay, so let me draw a picture of that. There's 1 pizza, 2 pizzas. They each have 8 slices. And we know I'm not an artist, so we're going to pretend that these are equal. And let's say that you have lots of people in your family. So mom eats 2 pieces, grandma eats 1, dad eats 3, big brother eats 3, you eat 3, or you eat 2. What would my fraction of the amount of pizza eaten be? So we're going to start with the numerator. How many pieces were eaten? Well, I know that this is one whole, and that's 8 pieces. So that's 8 pieces that were eaten. We can count it if you don't believe me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But that wasn't all that was eaten. We had 9, 10, 11 pieces were eaten. Now the denominator is what? Is the denominator 16 or 8? Well, I know that the denominator is the number of pieces in one whole. This is one whole. How many pieces are in this one whole? 8. So 11/8 of the pizza was eaten. This is called an improper, meaning not proper. Okay, there's our prefix im, meaning not proper fraction. A proper fraction is things that we talked at the beginning, like 1/2 or 1/3, where the numerator is indeed smaller. So an improper fraction is when the numerator is larger, which means the fraction is bigger than one whole. So let's do another one. Okay, you have this one in your, on the paper we glued in your journal. Okay, I'm going to just draw it here. And we're going to label this fraction. Okay. All right, so first step is the numerator. The numerator, that's the easy part. How many pieces are colored? Well, there are 4 here and 2 here, so there are 6 pieces colored in. Now the denominator, is it 4 or is it 8? The denominator is how many pieces are in one whole. So circle where you see one whole. There's one whole. How many pieces are in one whole? 4. So the answer to the improper fraction is 6/4, because 4/4 equals one whole, and 2/4 extra. Okay, it's kind of like addition. 4/4 of one whole plus 2/4 of another whole is equal to 6 total fourths. And we're going to try one more. This one's also in your journal, so you should be doing it with me. All right, let's see. All right, so we're going to say this is all shaded in. All right, so I want to know what fraction is shaded. Well, I'm going to label my picture, kind of like I just did in the last one. I'm going to label my picture. This is 12 shaded pieces out of 12 in all. And that's not all that's shaded. I have more that's shaded. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more 12ths that are shaded. Okay, remember, anytime you see a picture of a fraction, always write down the fraction above or next to it or underneath of it. That's going to come in really helpful when we do things like comparing. Okay, so anyway, back to improper fractions. I have 12 pieces shaded in on this one and 6 pieces shaded in on this one. So that's a total of how many pieces? Well, 12 plus 6 is 18, and we can count them if you want. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now your denominator is how many pieces are in what? Both holes? No. How many pieces are in one hole? And one hole is that. So there are 12 pieces in one hole. So our fraction that's shaded is 18/12. Okay. All right. Now, we're going to talk about mixed numbers. Okay. What does that mean, mixed? Like if I mix something. So a mixed number is something that if I mix something, I kind of have like a couple different things that I'm putting it together, right? Like if I'm making brownies, I'm putting the eggs and I'm putting the milk and I'm putting everything in a bowl. I'm mixing it all together. Well, in mixed numbers, we have a whole number and we have a fraction. So going back to that first example that we did in our journal where it was 6/4. So everybody, please go back to the example of 6/4 that looked like this. And I want to know how much is shaded. We know that the improper fraction is 6/4. A mixed number is another way to represent this 6/4. I can say, how many holes do I have? Well, I have one hole. And then how many extra do I have? So I have my one hole and then how much extra? So I count my hole and then I count the extra. So I have one hole and then 2 extra out of 4. So 1 2/4 are shaded. So 1 2/4 is equal to 6/4 They're this, whoopsie, oh my goodness, that's what happens when I am saying different things than what I'm writing. 1 2/4 equals 6/4. They're just two different ways to write the problem. And when you think about it, it makes sense because this is 4/4 plus 2/4 is 6/4, but 4/4 is also equal to 1 whole. Okay, now let's go to the second example we had, which was the 18/12, and we're going to now write that as a mixed number. So I would like you to try writing that one as a mixed number, and then we'll talk about it. So remember, you figure out how many whole things shaded in do you have. And then you figure out how much extra. So if I'm looking, how many holes do I have shaded in? Well, I have 1 hole shaded in. And how much extra? So I'm looking then just at this, the extra stuff. I have 6 extra pieces out of a total of 12 extra. Out of a total of 12 in 1 hole, I'm sorry. So I have 1 hole plus 6/12 in my second box. Okay, so 1 6/12 is equal to 18/12, which really is our 12/12, which equals 1 whole plus 6/12. So you can think about it as addition as well. 1 plus 6/12, 1 6/12. Or 12/12 plus 6/12, 18/12. Okay, now you have some problems there to finish before you come to the table with me. We will be checking those, and I will be grading whether or not you have it done or not. So please make sure that you get that done now.